Okay, so I just did that video, and then I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Because I'm here folding tamales, I don't want you being all jealous that I know how to make them and you don't know how to make them yet. So, I look really bloated in the camera today. I've been eating bad carbs. I gotta get on that keto thing. I know I've been talking about that forever. Okay, so I am gonna just walk you through what I do. Very impromptu, quick, so forgive that I had some of the stuff pre-made. I've been doing it so much that I, last night, decided I am not about to start making more masa until I finish using the one that I made yesterday. So, let me grab what I use. Okay, so I use maseca. That's one of my secrets, super easy. It's Mexican. I'm Mexican, so I'm gonna say Mexican because I'm allowed to say Mexican, okay? And then I use, instead of lard, lard grosses me out, just digging in it, so I use the Crisco vegetable oil. You need to have this in your dough because that's what helps soften it up to make it more authentic and keeps it from being too dry. Because maseca, remember, like when you're making a tortilla, it's not supposed to be moist. It's supposed to be dry so that you can eat tacos, right? So I've got that. I've got the maseca on the back. So if you guys look at it, it is so easy. So it's gonna tell you if you do 19 tortillas, which if you're gonna make tamales, plan on at least doing double the batch, because then you can actually have some to eat and then you can have some for leftovers. But you're gonna put 2 cups of this flour, and then you're gonna use 1.5 cups of water. You can do cold water, you can do hot water. My tip is to use hot water since you're gonna put the Crisco vegetable. It's like a, let me show you. I'm gonna get a spoon because I'm telling you, like, I'm trying to do things easier today. But look, it looks like buttery. You don't put it in the fridge, you leave it out, but you have the lid on it, but that's what it looks like. So I love doing it with hot water because when you do it with cold, it takes longer to like mix it all in, okay? Hot water just kind of blends it. Yes, is it gonna be hot? You can use a spatula if you want to kind of stir it to get it going and then dig your hands in. But the hotter, the quicker, and it doesn't ruin the dough. So that's what I got. I boil chicken, so I do chicken, plain chicken. I add kosher salt. I'm a huge fan of kosher salt. We don't use iodized salt because it tastes gross to me. Kosher salt has a good flavor. So I actually keep this stocked at all times. So we just keep a little container. I've got kosher salt in there, and then we keep ground pepper in this little mason jar. I use the Instapot, so you can use the Instapot or you can use the crock pot. And just dump the chicken in there. You can either put water or you can use chicken broth, it doesn't matter. And then you're gonna sprinkle the kosher salt in there, and then you're gonna sprinkle a little bit of pepper. Let that cook. Tip, if you're gonna do it in the crock pot, you can do it overnight so you're ready to go in the morning, or your Instapot, you can get it going and then let it stay in there overnight. The goal of it is, and I'm gonna show you guys 2 different ways that we do this. So you can have shredded chicken this way, and when you do, you just get your tongs and it like will fall apart, which is perfect. It's the lazy woman's way, so you don't have to fork it, okay? And then some of them, because we wanted to fit more chicken, then we fine it with our hands even more, and then it makes, it almost looks like tuna fish, but it's chicken and it doesn't taste like tuna fish, and then it is perfect with every bite. The goal is that every bite, we do the green chili with the chicken. So every bite you should get chicken and that salsa. I use salsa cups on the side, so I'll do that later. I get a can of diced green chili. I use, for the amount of tamales that I'm making, this is the one that I use, Herdes. Herdes is how we Mexicans call it, but I use this one, super easy to use. So I'll get some in a blender, put a can of green chilies, diced green chilies, get that going, and that's what I put in the salsa cup. So it's a little bit hotter than what I put in the tamal, but everybody's spice, like how spicy something is kind of varying, and I'm doing these for clients and friends, so I wanted to be respectful of that. So I've got the chicken. I just pulled out the corn husks. So you get dry corn husks. They come in bags like this. You just take them out. You put them in boiling hot water. You guys can see that big one right there, that big pot. That's where I have them. So I turn on a little bit higher than medium heat, get it up and boiling, leave it for a few minutes. I put the corn husks in because you want to soften them or else they're going to be crispy and they're going to damn fall apart. Okay? So now that I have that, you're going to notice there's smaller corn husks. This one's a bigger one, so that's perfect for tamale making. But there's stuff like this, right? You're gonna take strips. You wanna take strips of them and peel them because this is what you're going to actually use to tie. I also use twine, but out here, there's like a fucking shortage. I don't know what to tell you. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, I use the F-bomb. That's how tired I am. And I'm telling you, I've made tamales till my eyeballs are going to fall out. But I keep strips. So down here, I have also my strips. Keep lots of them because you're going to tie. And tie. If you use the twine, you're still going to tie, but I suggest that you pre-make your twine so that, because your hands are going to be doughy, you're going to have chicken on your hands, salsa, and just don't get that stuff all ruined that way, especially because you just don't want to, okay? So we're going to go ahead. I separate the leaves. Something I find to be easy is I get let me show you. I have a cutting board right here. I have that going. I've got you on a Brita water filter, like you know, but I get the good leaves. I stack out 6 at a time because I know when I do 2 stacks, then in essence, I've got my dozen. And usually tamales, I do in either half dozen or I do in whole dozen when I'm making them for my friends or whatnot. In the meantime, and let me walk you guys through this real quick. Ooh, look at that, dropping the damn thing. Okay, so I've got 6. See how I have 6? So I've laid those out. I've got my salsa right there. I use an ice cream scooper because it gives me the perfect portion ratio. And then I've got 1 steamer going over here. You can buy the bigger ones. I told Patrick we need to buy the bigger one for next year. And then a girlfriend of mine let me borrow this huge, it's like a massive Hamilton Beach, like a roaster. And this damn thing has been awesome. So I've got it steaming. You can see I've got tamales in there. I've got a dozen. I actually have 11, but I knew I had an extra one from another batch, so I kept that one. And then I'm keeping it right here between a 400 and a 425, and a 400 and a 450. So that's where I'm at on that. I keep gallon bags because that's what I put the half dozen in, and I do them in half dozens. I don't stack them to the brim. And then you guys can see our messy kitchen. I keep the salsa cups, and then I do the half dozen. For every half dozen, I end up doing 3 salsa cups. So a salsa cup for every 2 tamales. So half dozen would be 6 cups. But I only fill them halfway because remember, people are gonna be dipping them, pouring it on top of them or whatever, and too much is too much, and you're wasting for yourself, not for everybody else, for yourself out of laziness. But that's what it looks like. So the masa, so I've made the masa, I've added the maseca, I've added the water, I've added the vegetable shortening. This, do it for when you do 2 of those batches worth, so 19 times 2, whatever the tortilla amount is, right? 38. You're gonna mix that up, and then it's gonna turn into the dough. If you're in a bowl, scoop. I try using my KitchenAid mixer. That just doesn't work because then it leaves all the crap on the bottom, and then it's all dry, and that can ruin your batch because then it's gonna be all crumbly. So I just, again, I'm making plenty because I want to show you guys. I want to make sure I have enough. Once I have that dough, I leave it right next to me. I do kind of a process line of the order. So I start off with the dough, then I put my chicken, and then I put the salsa verde. And then, that sounded really right. Salsa verde es como lo digo yo normalmente, you see? So then just get a handful. You just average, don't overfill it. You might even end up taking some of the dough off, or like out of the corn husk if it's a little bit too much, but you won't know that. And the more that you get the practice on these, y'all, the better it becomes, the easier it becomes, and you really start being able to gauge a little bit more, but it'll never be perfect. That's part of the art. So this bag, I had like half of, basically a 19 tortilla count left last night. I put it in this bag. It was in the refrigerator. If you do that, you can keep it in the fridge. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little cold in the morning, so I would set it out for about, I don't know, probably 30 minutes, just so it warms up a little bit, because when it's cold, it'll still kind of be crumbly. And you want it to just be pliable. So you start off with a little ball like that, right? And now all I'm doing is I'm getting my corn husk. It'll be laying flat, and then I push it almost like a tortilla, but you don't want it thin like a tortilla. You want it kind of this thickness right here. So see, you have it like that. And then you just push it out. Remember, you want it almost in a round shape, and you want it in a round shape because that way you can put your chicken. If you want to do beef and red sauce, this is where you can get creative. So I'm showing you the process, but fill it in with whatever meat. You can do raja peppers and some chicken, or just raja in there. It doesn't matter. You can do what you want. I love the chicken and the tomatillo one from a making them for others and even ourselves. A, they're my favorite, but B, they're just kind of neutral. Decent flavors where if somebody's allergic to pork or for religious reasons can't have it or whatever, seems to be just better. Now you're gonna have, I'm actually gonna show you this. So on this husk, that's good size, I leave a little bit of a gap, but some of these corn husks, they're a little bit smaller, right? So you either have that one or I'm gonna have something like this small size. If you need to, you just grab another corn husk. So you end up doing that, and then you can just get another little corn husk and you can wrap it together to make it whole and tight. You don't want them too tight, but you want it covering because in the steam, it still needs to like get hot. That's how it's going to cook. It cooks by steaming. You don't put them in the oven. I don't even know if the world exists with a recipe for tamales in an oven. Don't do it because the corn husk can catch fire. And some of them might turn a little bit burnt on the outside while they're steaming, and that's okay. But just steaming is the way to do them if you want them cooked and keep the moist aspect to them too, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys like an aerial view in just a second. I'm gonna have to make more dough because I only have enough left for the 4 after I made the 2 dozen, but that's what it's gonna end up looking like. Okay, this one on purpose, I cut it down because I just wanted it a little short so I can wrap. So I've got that. Now, and in the dough, I forgot to say, in the dough, add a little bit of kosher salt, not too much, but the dough can be very bland in taste, and that'll help kind of give it a little something. If you don't want kosher salt in there, use iodized, and if you don't want salt in there, then don't use it. Who cares? These are yours to make, right? So right now I'm gonna get the one that's like super shredded. I'll get that one. Let me get one with the lighter shred. I'm gonna compare, I'll show you guys the comparison on kind of the chicken ratio to give you an idea of how it looks different. Okay, so you hear the boys. Quentin has finally woken up, so if he pops down here, God help us all. So that's the one with the heavier shredding where we did it just one layer, and then this is the one that has more, so it gives you a little bit more meat. The one thing that I suggest, you don't have to do it if you don't want to do it. From a budget perspective, it's not going to make it, I don't think, more or less expensive. But I like to take all the fat off before I stick it in the Instapot. Or I will also, if I'm being extra lazy, then I'll take that fat off stuff once it starts shredding. I'll get all the gross pieces. I just really like having as lean as you can of chicken. It makes it taste better. I'm not really like a fatty meat kind of person, and when I eat a taco or something like this and it's got fat, it just grosses me out. So let me rinse my hands real quick. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the salsa. So all I do, I keep a bowl, I keep the ice cream scooper, I do 1 scoop per tamale. So now you see how I'm grabbing my bowl, but I'm going to show you guys what the process looks like. I know it's like, I hope it's not giving you too much motion sickness, but I get the scoop. I go down here. See how it has a little bit of a bald patch? I get a little bit more. I want to kind of fill it all the way. But do you see how 1 scoop seems to like do the trick? Scoop, 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 scoop. Okay. So now that that's done, now comes the fun part. So when you're doing them in half dozen, because they're all laid out, I like keeping it simple. So I'm gonna grab this, and you just put the dough together this way, and you want to like just have the edges lightly touched. Remember, the dough is gonna expand when it steams. So even if it's slightly off, that's okay. No one panic. I roll it like this. I keep it on my board, okay? And then I do the next one because I like, I think for my single mom days, I would bathe the kids. I'd put them all in like little mama duck. And then I would do one, the next one like with soap. And then shampoo, 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 rinse, rinse, rinse. I do things in order like that. So now I've got the 2 right there. And then I do this. and I keep them in half dozen. Keep a little notebook if you're making them for friends or like an order if you decide to start selling tamales, because y'all, people will pay good money. It seems like it's a black market. I don't know how many people try to offer to pay me to do some for them, and I just could not commit to that because I had enough for my clients and our friends and family. So once I have them rolled like that, let me see if I can, oh, perfect, look at that. Okay, so I've got them going like this. You're gonna take this bottom piece, and it's okay if some of the salsa comes out. It's okay if some of the dough kind of squishes out. No one panic, it's gonna be okay. It'll steam and cook. It's gonna get a little messy. That's why I personally keep my stuff on the board. I also, when I was doing them, I was putting them together on Sunday, and Sunday was like a huge day for me. I think I did 15 dozen that day, but I used parchment paper. So I laid it all on our back counter to use that as just an easier process, and it's parchment, so it wasn't sticking on there. But cutting board for now that I've slowed down a little bit. Okay, this one actually is perfect. It's gonna have salsa at the edge. And you're gonna tie it in a knot, right? Not perfect, who gives a crap? People are just gonna eat them. But there's salsa right there that's coming out. You can either squish it and have it, like take it off, or you can just leave it. It doesn't matter. So I've got this one right here. This one actually has got salsa spewing out, so that's perfect. So see how it's got stuff? Just kind of hold the bottoms. If the bottom is too small, like that little bottom edge, I always feel like I'm changing diapers. God knows I've done enough of that in my life, but the diaper, if you will. So when you're tying it, let me show you real quick. If it's too small on that bottom part, just tie it still. Just tie it loose. You could tie it, actually, keep that one going. Just tie it. That's okay. Tie it up there and tie it up here. Not a big deal. No one panic. I just remind people to not panic. Do you notice that? Because it's like, y'all, we got bigger problems in this world. Okay, so in essence, both sides, if you had that problem, would look like that. Not a big deal. Okay, so there's that. Let me finish this one. When you put them in the steamer, you put them in there. My suggestion, when you're doing a lot of them, say that you put a dozen in the steamer. I personally, or even if you get like one of those big pot steamers, I keep mine in there about an hour. They don't overcook that way. Again, the outside, the corn husk itself might turn a little bit burnt looking, but the tamal itself just does not get burnt. But I'm like overprotective. I'm not even crazy when it comes to chicken. I know a lot of people panic with chicken, like you really like, it's almost like you're sterilizing your kitchen before and after. I don't, we just clean really good. But this, on the other hand, I am so, for some reason, I've always been like kind of paranoid when it comes to dough. I don't like leaving it uncooked, even though this one doesn't have any eggs in it. It just makes me worried. So I'd rather just be over prepared than under. This one, okay, so this shows you kind of, see when I'm folding this one over, how it's still kind of loose right there. So when you have a corn husk that does that, and if you're making, my opinion is I'd rather have too many corn husk packages than not enough. So, because remember, some of them are small, some of them are torn, etc. So I usually do, when you're doing 219 counts of tortillas, right, that ratio, I usually buy 2 packages of corn husks. So, but in this case, if that one was a little loose in the middle area, and sometimes you've got to, like this corn husk is torn, so I'll get rid of that one, do this one. So you just go to the middle and the belly, if you will, of the tamal. All right, so we got the diaper, we got the belly. These are all SAM terminologies for tamal. But I tie it in the middle to get me started, because then at least I know that it's not gonna open up when I do put it in the steamer. You don't have to do that on every one, or you can choose to do it on every one, doesn't really matter. I'm seeing on here it's 1916 so far on minutes, but hopefully you're enjoying this video. And if you don't want to know how to make tamales, or you don't enjoy cooking, then don't look at this. It's so funny because these tamales, even if you're not a good cook, like you don't even know how to, honestly, you can't really screw this one up as long as you cook them long enough and as long as you can like put your hands in dough and make some chicken and get some salsa. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so now that we're done with that, when you're laying them in your steamer, I'll wipe my hand. So in this case, I've got this steamer going now. So I try to do kind of one in one. So the other one, I put those in, keeping kind of a mental timer. You can put it on your microwave. You can put it on your oven timer. You can do a timer on your phone, whatever. But this one I know. So when that other one, I start making more, I'm going to stack them on top, but I'll know when I put those in. And then when the other ones at the very bottom are ready, I'll go ahead and take those out and shift the other ones down. So I try to make a process line because I need them cooling off at the same time that I'm going, because I need to make the delivery. So all I do on this one is I just open the steamer. It's okay that all the steam get out. I promise it'll start steaming back up again. I put the water to steam right when I get started because that way it's ready to go when I need it. So I'm putting that, right? I'll put the lid when I'm done. Oh, we only got 4. I'm used to doing half dozen. Okay, so that's that. And I'm gonna leave them in there, okay? I'm gonna leave these in particular. I'll end up leaving those because there's only 4, so they're not cluttered, because when you have a ton, they all just need to cook, right? So these I'm gonna leave in there probably about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So this is, tamales are known to get a little messy. So just plan that you're gonna be doing it for a day or an afternoon or a morning. And then you can either wash as you go, but if you're making a lot, then you just go ahead and suck it up, cupcake, and then work on it later. So I hope you like this video. Totally impromptu. I was not planning on showing you guys tamales. In fact, I had where I still need to record the video for my newsletter of showing how to make tamales. And I'm thinking, wow, this one might actually be really good to use, except I use the F-bomb, but I feel comfortable with you guys. Maybe I do a bleep on that word. I don't know. We got to figure it out. So if any of y'all do editing and you want to just help sister out so I can not have to re-record the video, I would love you for that. But if nobody knows how to, that's okay too. I'll figure it out. And yeah, that's what I got. And you can hear Witten. He's starting to say upstairs that he's hungry. I'm going to have to send Taylor, my oldest, my 20-year-old, came to town with his girlfriend, Emma. I'm going to have to send him to McDonald's to buy them breakfast because this mama is not cooking breakfast today. And I need my Starbucks, you guys. I have not had my Starbucks yet, and I need it. So love you. I see you if you need anything at all. If you need a kick in the butt, if you need encouragement, make sure to find me on social media. Samantha Root is my personal page. You can find me Mompreneur Living on Instagram. You can find me on my podcast, Mompreneur Living with Samantha Root. And you can find me here, continued on YouTube channel. Thank you again for loving me. Thank you for letting me be my authentic self. Even look at this today. I haven't even showered, and I have not obviously gotten ready. I have washed my hands several times today, so that's a positive. And yeah, there comes Baker. So I'm gonna wrap up. Bye.